Meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you being with us this morning. Commissioner Fix, I think is, I'm not sure if he's working or traveling, but either way, there's two and that's all we need. So go ahead and roll that way. Don't have a listen and learn this morning, so we'll get the opportunity to go right to public comments. I see most of the folks here have heard the rules before, and they're still the same. You begin by stating your name and residential address. You do have a 3-minute timeline, which we appreciate your courtesy on. And of course, direct your comments to the commissioners, not to the audience, under those terms and conditions. Is there anybody who would like to address the commission at this time? Good morning, sir.
Morning. Last weekend here has had a lot of things happen in the world. And you wonder how much.
Okay, you know the rules. We need your name and address. I can't tell you the rules and have you violate them right in front of everybody, right? Go ahead.
Yes, but that is a concern for everybody. What was done over the weekend, though it follows the scripture pretty close. Sunday morning, I had a history lesson from our pastor. I'll tell you, he laid it out pretty clear. If you want to be sure, and if you want to be right, better get close to our Savior, Jesus Christ. That's the only way you can survive and have a conscious peace about you. So we'll pray for that. Lord, give us the peace that we would listen to you and follow your directions and be at peace with those around us, especially those we see each day. Lord, may we show a Christ-like display to them. And we pray, Lord, you guide the leaders of this county, the leaders of the state, and the nation. Lord, you know what is happening and that you're in control. And we just need to listen to you and do our part for you. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
You're going to start off by breaking the rules.
Hello, my name is Beth Cottrell, 3535 Cedar Hill Road, Amanda. You've seen too much of me. My home is not only in the view shed of much of the proposed Carnation project. The traffic analysis submitted by the company predicts that an additional 6,000 to 8,000 construction vehicles will pass our home during construction. This traffic will not only shatter our peace with the construction, it will also endanger those who walk, bike, and drive on our narrow, hilly roads. The vast majority of the local residents who will be impacted by this project are against it. We're encouraging them to submit comments to the High Power Siting Board. Sadly, as we have discovered through the process with our friends from Citizens for Fairfields, the process is not always fair and equal. 3 different members contacted me this weekend to say the representatives of Geronimo Power were collecting signatures at the mall in downtown Lancaster during the farmers market and a festival in Baltimore. When one of our members asked questions, the collector told her that he was being paid by Carnation for 2 weeks to collect signatures. Another collector told a member information that was blatantly false. This is all very discouraging. I'm sure that you will receive copies of these letters signed by people who don't know or understand that this project will negatively impact hundreds of lives and forever change our rural community. We're confident that you will see through this paid smokescreen. We have shared with you the ways this project would devastate our community. We thank you for not committing one of the commissioners to as an ad hoc member, and you have put that job in the very capable hands of Ms. Corder. We know that you are very busy and that you've been in summer mode without everyone here. but we are asking you to formally come out against the Carnation Solar Project as soon as possible. The Ohio Power Siting Board staff report is due no later than July 25th. We don't have the money, staff, and knowledge of the system that Geronimo Power's Carnation Solar Project has. But we do have hundreds of community members who are passionate about saving our community. We're counting on you. Thank you. And I have a couple of pictures. I started 2 years ago, I think, when I invited you to come to our porches. I had some pictures. And just a reminder, our community is not downtown Lancaster, where they're targeting signatures for people that won't be affected.
Morning, my name is Brian Everett, 201 South High Street here in Lancaster, and I am here on behalf of Carnation Solar Commissioners and the rest of county officials. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. I just wanted to do two brief things. One is hand out the latest newsletter from Carnation Solar for June. I'll pass that out for anyone that wants a copy of it. And I also wanted to reiterate that myself, Samantha Meadows, Chris Snyder, and the rest of the team associated with Carnation are available for any questions or to address any concerns or issues that any of the commissioners, county officials, or anyone in the public may have. So our intention is to provide information, and we have seen as we continue to move through the process and provide that information to more and more people, more and more support that is being represented from the community at large. And hopefully will be represented to the OPSB. So thank you very much.
Okay, I'd like to address the commission at this time.
Jerry Pimer, 3464 South Bank Road, Millersport, Walnut Township. I wasn't going to speak. However, our friends at and Amanda are in the same boat that we were in with Eastern Cottontail several months ago or a year ago. And as I stand here and heard from one of our members from Citizens of Fairfield, was at the Baltimore Festival this weekend and confirmed that there were people there, groups for solar. EDF with Eastern Cottontail Project did the same thing as what Carnation Solar is doing, or Geronimo, hiring people to get signatures. They also went door to door in Lancaster because the people that live in Lancaster don't have a clue what it's going to look like, what their lives would be living across the road or next door to hundreds of thousands of panels and the entire project itself. So this is a pattern. Solar companies do this in every community. And EDF hired consulting firms, they hired marketing firms, they had websites that pretended to be community-minded groups that were sponsored by EDF. Not the people, it was EDF and the marketing firm. So you really have to dig deep to find out what some of these companies do, and they do it all over the country. So they came into Fairfield County knowing that Fairfield County had never had a solar project, had never dealt with big solar. And so this is just a warning to the next project. And hopefully Fairfield County will do a little better job with the next project than with Eastern Cottontail. Thank you.
I'd like to address the commission at this time. Thank you all for coming. Just a point of privilege. I've been been out of town for a number of days, and there are a number of folks interested on both sides of the solar aisle, so to speak, that I haven't responded to this week. Please don't take any disrespect out of that. I was just traveling. I was getting away for a few days, so I'll be getting back to folks that are on my list, so to speak. This summer has been a little unusual in terms of the commissioners' various schedules. I was out of town last week. Commissioner Fix is out of town this week. Next week's 4th of July. So July 8th is when we anticipate next having a full commission. In the short term, this week, most of us responsible for being the funding authority for accounting operations, we'll have at least one, probably both eyes on the state budget process and its implications for local governments. I'm less concerned about House Bill 335 than I was 2 weeks ago. I don't think 335 is getting ramped into the budget, so to speak. I think 335 is going to stand alone for its own hearings and process. So that potentially very significant legislation that would have a dramatic impact on county operations is probably not happening this week. And then in terms of the future of 335, I would expect to be some adjustments to that concept. But you wait the 335 issue, but back to this week in the budget, there are still a number of issues being discussed in conference that would have a significant impact on county operations. And wait with everybody else. We don't have the inside track or scoop or somebody that's told us secrets that we know nobody else knows. We think we're going to get hurt. I don't think we're going to get hurt bad. And then we're going to have to figure out what we're doing when the dust settles on that. The county is in a strong financial position. We do have a cash position to be able to bleed cash for a while if we have to. It's less than an ideal situation, but we don't know. In the old days, you kind of knew what went into conference. One of those things was what was going to come out of conference. That used to be the rule. It's still kind of the rule, but nobody pays attention to it. So the rule now is it doesn't matter if it went into conference or not. It can still come out of conference. So you have no idea these days what may or may not come out of conference. It could be anything. And so we wait. Hopefully late this week, early next week, that process will get resolved. We'll kind of know that situation. And I know that doesn't speak to the concerns of a number of people that have joined us here today. I'm only sharing that 30,000-foot view to say a lot of moving parts here, and try to do the best we can with those situations. But in any event, we do appreciate you all coming today, and we'll keep putting along. Are you? Any administration update?
Thank you, Commissioner. We have just a couple of things of note. First off, our next regular meeting for the commissioners will be July 8th. That meeting will be here in the commission hearing room at 9 a.m. on July 8th. There will not be a review or regular session meeting on July 1st, which is July. The administrative packet, review packet contains the list of administrative approvals. Today, we have a total of 20 resolutions on the agenda, including a walk-on resolution for the Common Pleas Court, Resolution T. That is to accept the TCAP and the Community Corrections 2.0 grant funds that have been awarded to Fairfield County. I see Josh in the audience. Josh, is there anything you would like to add about that resolution?
No, I just simply appreciate you working that on. The state got it to us kind of late, but is an agreement with the state where they give us substantial grant funds in exchange for essentially agreeing not to send certain low-level felony offenders to prison. We use those for supervision during the county, treatment, all that sort of things. So, it's a program that we've been working now for about a decade. In 2 years, we get the grant. It was just same as 2 years ago, accept the funds and use them for those purposes.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I do not.
No, it's
Pretty nice grant.
It's useful for trying to keep these people from reoffending.
Nice.
Also on the agenda, we have the an adjustment to the meeting schedule that we established back in December. So we continue to evaluate when we need to make adjustments. One of those adjustments will be the August 26th meeting, which will move from 9 a.m. in the morning to 3 p.m. in the afternoon here in this hearing room to accommodate the CCAO summer meeting and the attendance of the commissioners at that meeting. We will also move the previously scheduled September 9th meeting to September 4th at 10 a.m., which is a Thursday, which is a bit different than we normally do. And all of those meetings will take place here in the hearing.
Can I just touch on that for a second?
Sure.
It's unusual for us to move our meeting schedule around because of the C or CCA, other organizations we're associated with. But this summer, this CCAO meeting in the aftermath of what we're going to see from the state this week, it's a little different than every other year. So we're going to be heavily involved with CCAO in planning appropriate responses to what we expect to happen this week. I don't know what those responses are because I don't know what's going to happen this week, but I just know that we're probably going to be, I think the best of all of us is what we'll be in the months following this week.
Lots of significant issues. We also have on the agenda the bylaws for approval for the South Central Major Crimes Unit. This was referenced last week. The governing board for major crimes agreed to the bylaws on June 11th. Economic and Workforce Development has a resolution on the agenda to approve an agreement with Aspire and the South Central Ohio Workforce Partnership. Fairfield County is the administrative and fiscal agent for Area 20 Workforce Development Board and the South Central Ohio Workforce Partnership, and therefore we approve any agreements. Rick, did you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, this is just to renew an agreement from last year as part of a $2 million grant we got along with Franklin County's Workforce Board for apprenticeships. So we have Joe Miller on staff helping to do that, and we're making some good traction with a lot of our local companies. So it's a nice grant. It's over the course of 4 years. Time to use it.
So if I could, just touching on one of the things mentioned there, the resolutions, the resolution to support the new bylaws of the Major Crimes Unit. I wanted to thank the prosecutor's office for kind of leaning into that process a little bit. It's very helpful in terms of trying to get that organization back on a little firmer footing. Feel good about the progress that we've made over the past several months once we learned that things weren't being handled there best we could. So we're fixing it. Having that prosecutor's office, so really appreciate the work on that.
Engineer's office has a resolution to approve the 2025 maintenance drainage maintenance districts. County engineer pursuant to revised code 613703 conducts yearly inspections to determine necessary drainage improvements and provides those estimates to the county commissioners for approval. Did you have anything you'd like to add, Jeremiah?
No.
Okay, thank you. Facilities has a resolution on the agenda to authorize the purchase of tables and chairs for the Sheridan Center. Tables and chairs are being purchased from Loth, a distributor under the Omnia Cooperative Purchasing Agreement. John, did you have anything you'd like to add?
We did a pretty extensive table and chair search, but found some good ones. This is what is the best at the right price situation. So for the 5 vendors to find the right situation.
I could too on the Sheridan Center. I hadn't been out there quite some time since the acquisition, and I got to go through there last week before, and a lot of work going on there. It's at that stage of being remodeled where it actually looks worse than it did when we bought it. So we're doing good. But you can see what it will look like, and we're hopeful to have that in ship shape and ready for the state of the county this year. Hopefully, staff feels confident about that. It's hard to walk into what it looks like right now and see the state of the county in there, but I'm told it's all going to work out just fine. We got the faith on that. Yeah, we got the
Thank you, no pressure, John.
faith.
No pressure.
Regional Planning has a resolution to approve an amendment to the development agreement for the Fairfield Career Center, their new lab building. The amendment allows paid law enforcement and traffic controllers to monitor traffic entering and exiting the campus until proper signage has been installed. Josh, was there anything you wanted to add on that?
This is just a small revision based on the
Okay, thank you. The Sheriff's Office has 3 resolutions on the agenda. 2 of the resolutions extend inmate housing agreements with Perry and Athens County until the end of 2025. And the other resolution is for an agreement for a school resources officer for the Fairfield Union School District. Community Action has 2 agreements on to approve mortgages through the Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program. Budget review, Bart.
We did have sales tax that came in this week. For June's numbers, based upon our forecast, we were up about $101,000 to forecast for June actuals. Year over year, June non-auto was up about 8.49%, and June auto was down 8.15%. When we look at sales tax year over year, the cumulative date sales tax is up about $580,000 compared to last year, with non-auto being up 4.89% and auto also being up 3.23% cumulative date. That's all.
Thank you. Questions on that, commissioners?
No, I had an opportunity to visit with Bart this morning, and it's just so weird. I mean, some of the revenue numbers are good, but yeah, we got some dark clouds on the horizon, so we'll see how things sort out.
Calendar review and invitations received. Rochelle?
Thank you. The Fairfield County Fair Legacy videotaping will be June 26th at 9:15 a.m. FCFC has an executive meeting on June 27th at 8:30 a.m. at the Ag Center. Anchor Hocking's Worker Appreciation Event is June 28th at 1 p.m. at 158 West Chestnut Street here in Lancaster. An invitation was received for the ribbon cutting grand reopening of Kroger on North Memorial Drive. It will be July 11th at 9:45 a.m. The Lancaster.
Does anybody know what that's about? What are we green? What's going on? What?
Secure the bill.
Yeah, they did that. Yeah.
I think there is some construction equipment inside.
It's fine. Well, I'm not going.
Okay.
The Lancaster Eagle Gazette published an article on June 19th written by Jeff Baird entitled Fairfield County Commissioners Concerned About Property Tax House Bill Proposal. The commissioners received the Fairfield County Municipal Court Criminal Traffic Fees Report for May, and also received correspondence regarding large-scale solar facilities. That's all I have.
Good.
Bill?
Hold on.
As mentioned last week, that the real estate tax bills went out last week. We experienced our normal pattern, and that is there are folks that as soon as they receive the bill, they send us a check or they stop by and pay the bill. Then we'll have a lull and then the week of July 14th, due to the fact that the due date is July 17th. That week will be very busy. That's it.
Well, we are finishing up a lot of our smaller, maintenance culverts, what we call them, and we try to get out, maybe chip and seal, make sure all those are replaced. We're finishing those up right now. That'll roll us into chip seal here in July, and then later in the summer, we'll have our paving project going. Other than that, got 2 bridges about ready to start. A lot of questions still about development and whatnot. Staying busy.
Appreciate
Morning. Last week, I had the opportunity to honor the Salvation Army Majors DeMichael. And just wanted to mention how appreciative we are of their service and very excited for their journey and their continued promotion in that organization. It's an organization that was very helpful to me when I was a child in Pickaway County, but I've been able to continue to stay connected with them in the multiple roles I've had here in the county. Also made a new friend. And I didn't know that Natalie Furness and Colleen Cook were sisters. And I met their mom and had a good conversation with them. I think it's just great that the HR department is coordinating the Empower event that will include a mother and daughter, Ani and Emily, and 2 sisters, Natalie and Colleen. I think it'll be a great event. Even though it's in the middle of our sexennial update, we should be able to send a couple of folks to be able to enjoy that. I also was thinking about some of the comments that Commissioner Davis was making relating to the budget and the multiple proposed legislative activity. I do think it's good to recognize the 2 organizations of CAAO and CCAO are working very well together in tandem. Been a lot of analysis, and it's one of the most impressive times I've seen them come together and have like-mindedness in approaching this particular issue.
Mentioned NASCAR, I've been in these meetings with CAO representatives and representatives from the Auditors Association, both in the meetings. And Bonnie found it a little bit amusing that I was in one of those meetings for 2 hours and didn't say a word. The reason was because those folks from the Auditors Association, way smarter than me. And there was no contribution I was going to make to that conversation that would elevate it. Really appreciate the support of your organization.
So glad. The narratives have been extremely evaluative and analytical. And I can tell you the amount of time that's been spent on the narratives, let alone the time in meetings that have been burdensome, but yielding a lot of good understanding about different paths that can happen. Even if something is introduced at one way, there are a couple different paths that can take in the end and not be quite as devastating. Still devastating, but not quite as much so. Also wanted to mention that you have correspondence in your review folder about the demographics of the county, and that has been translated in terms of policy implications. And those type of policy implications are things that bond raters look at. So I thought you would enjoy reading that particular analysis as well. We are deep in the throes of the preparation of the annual comprehensive financial report, as well as the popular annual financial report. I'm putting a lot of finishing touches on that. At the same time, the federal single audit is going on. So we've completed the regular audit, the federal single audit begins, and have been very impressed with the technology that's used by our new auditors, and that it has reduced a lot of the burden of time, both on their end and in some ways on the end of folks who are providing information by using that technology. Also want to mention that the statistical analysis for the sexennial update has been completed. So this is for tax year 25 collections of 26, and we are awaiting state approval on that particular statistical analysis. Today, there is a tax incentive review council meeting at 1 o'clock. That is for the county and the various portions of how that's arranged for the county.
What am I supposed to do with that?
I think you came as an interested party in the past, and I believe the president is the one. You may be the alternate. I'm not sure. The agenda shows all the alternates, so you can see right on the face of the agenda who are the alternates.
Yes. All right. So. Even anything come up
since I last asked you if you had anything. Tony, how are you doing?
Good.
Good. Great.
Just a couple of things, with the heat, transit is offering, free rides to, the cooling stations that we have around town. We added, an extra stop so we can get people there. So, it's kind of new in our world, in my world, where I'm like, oh, it's hot out. What can we do to help? Not that I'm against help. It's not time. The budget, there is, still some verbiage in there that could impact the Millersport data center that we've been working to secure. Senator Schaefer and I have exchanged communication over the weekend. He's still working with Senate leadership to try to make some adjustments to that. That would help with our Millersport project. And I know from Jobs Ohio and One Columbus are working with trying to remove the language altogether.
A number of us are also working on the House side of that issue because of the confidence.
So we'll see where that shakes out, but we're continuing to push and try to make this project get through as quickly as we can.
Before I left, I was under the impression that the 26th, 27th of June were dates in terms of trying to finalize the budget. You were there any different timelines that got pushed at all, as far as you know?
I'm not. I mean, one of the things that it really does impact is that I'm also learning in the transit world is that we don't know what our match is going to be yet. So we're 7 days out from our new fiscal year, and half of our budget is still up in the air. So. See what's happening.
Commissioner Levis.
Obviously with, sometimes I believe our state legislators don't know what they should know or been misinformed, and in particular with, data centers in general, because there's a misconception and data centers want to produce a very limited number of jobs. In some cases, that's true, but in this case, it's 500 jobs. And they were under the impression they would produce a handful of jobs. So I think that's where the disconnect actually lies.
It's a difference between a data center and a data center campus. This will be a data center campus.
Rick alluded to hot. We did it. We enact, I guess, extreme climate period. So we work with community action to make sure cooling shelters are open and available for folks who may need that, and kind of watch our power grid situations. And we've had a really active, hours, 2 hazmat spills, a train derailment. So fun times. Train derailment was gravel, no issue. Incidents for fuel and fuel oil. Slight environmental issues that will get cleaned up pretty quick, or they'll get cleaned up pretty quick, but it was a very busy Monday.
About the train, where was that?
Just north of Sugar Grove, actually pretty much in the village of Sugar Grove. Not sure of an incident, but train gravel, so.
When you know more about that,
Yeah.
I'd be curious about that. I guess the reason I asked is, it's derailment, yeah, it's gravel, it's great news, but I assume other products move on that same system.
Yeah, we had a conversation with the folks from the railroad, what typically is on that track, how often that track gets serviced. So, we're always curious about those type of things.
Put a button on that later. Dan?
Hello. This is the second verse is same as the first, talking about cybersecurity again. After events from this past weekend, there's been information share kind of at the federal levels that absolutely hits us at a county level in terms of cybersecurity. So there's just a heightened awareness with all of that. In addition to that, where Secretary of State in Ohio released their 6th edition of their security directive specific to election security. We've been actively involved in years past with that, so we're working with the Board of Election Directors on just making sure that we got things in place. I think a lot of the work that we've done in the past few years has really set us up. So this is just assuring that what we've done is appropriate
So
and an audit piece to
I
that.
understand the elevated threat level you suggested about the feds, probably primarily as a result of the tensions in the Middle East. But have you seen any evidence or indication of any threat that seems out of the ordinary, I guess? Are you seeing any kind of a elevation locally?
You know, like numbers in terms of data, no. Really, I think what they just want us to be aware of is that, you know, many times the attack is specific to critical infrastructure. So for us, that could be water systems that manage that. So but we are not necessarily seeing data that points to this. That they're just getting information out and trying to make sure that we're not sleeping.
So other than mentioning it here today, I've got to catch up on email traffic. But have the staff of the county, so to speak, been alerted to the elevated threat, or is this the announcement of that?
No, we have not sent out any sort of global, I received contact from the sheriff who, copied in EMA. So it's just trying to make sure that, I guess I wanted to state that we are aware, and we do see these communications, and it does draw our attention.
Good morning. Thank you. Dr. Brown.
Dan did in passing indicate that there's an audit component to the election review. It's a programmatic component, which is the first time ever that's been added to the financial audit. And what that means is that our independent auditors are going to be reviewing the program, the specific rules that the Secretary of State has. They're going to review to make sure that those are being followed. And that is something that hasn't in the past been part of the financial audit. The good news is that Perry and Associates are able to do this without added cost, because we're a little bit ahead of schedule in terms of the regular audit.
Under old business, Commissioner Levacy, anything under old business?
So last week we had our Veterans Hall of Fame meeting. Brian Evers with us today. He's providing a lot of major help, actually putting together for us the paperwork for 501(c)(3). Then back here has been very helpful in coming up with a very great design of our logo for the organization. And I have to compliment them because he's very skillful in that regard. So I'm very thankful. But we're moving ahead and making a lot of progress. I also attended going away celebration, I guess we'd call, for Salvation Army, the DeMichaels. What great people they've been for the community. But I think they're going to be positioned in a better place because of the construction of the new facility for Salvation Army, and they're in the middle of fundraising. I believe it's about an $8 million fundraising effort, and I was told they're about halfway there, which is a pretty big number. And I look forward to that complex being funded and also being completed. So this week I'll be at that's new business. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I don't really have much under old business, although people might be entertained to know that when I got off the plane in Scottsdale recently, it was 107 degrees and I wasn't wearing a hoodie. So I'm just saying true to form here, not changing the rules. Under new business, Commissioner Lutz.
Yeah, I was going to mention Hanker Hawking's going to celebrate their 120th anniversary and this year. I'll be attending that Saturday. And, you know, it's back in the 60s, and I mentioned this before as well as Commissioner Davis, you know, back in the day, if you lived in Lancaster, you either worked at agri-hockey or you had a family member who worked at agri-hockey, or you knew somebody that worked in agri-hockey, because there was 11,500 employees at the tableware division. Plant 2, which no longer exists, was the largest manufacturer of meter covers in the world. They manufactured 98% of the world's meter covers. The agri-hockey was still the world's largest tableware division. So now there are a few hundred employees, and they've been able to hang on, which I'm very grateful. And I'd like to be there. And I actually worked there as a cost accountant. I figured out how much the paint cost on each glass that was painted, so to speak. And I also did time studies. So in doing time studies, I looked at lost motion. So I've changed my whole life. So if I'm going from here to there, I think, do I need to take this over here so I don't have to take 2 trips? So my mind totally changed after I did time studies with agri-hockey. So I had a good time working there back in the 60s. That's all.
Now, speaking of agri-hockey, I grew up on the west side in the shadow of Plant 1. And Blasco Park was a short walk, so that's where I played ball and stuff. I don't know what my memory of agri-hockey back then, it comes about 2 o'clock in the morning. The trains always seem to come in at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the whistles would go off. And of course, I live right beside the plant, so get to wake up every morning at 2, which is fine. I mean, there were quite a lot of people, so that. But, I'm thankful they're still here. I'm concerned, you know, about the future of last week. But now I'm thankful they're still here in some capacity anyway. New business, Commissioner Levis.
Yeah, I'll ring you.
Oh, that wasn't, yeah, I don't know. I'll stay up here.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll move on to our voting pattern. Please rise if you're able. Join us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go to announcements, just a comment. As folks who come to our meetings know, we strive not to engage in conversations over issues that we don't control. So there are lots of fun issues out there in the world to discuss and debate. We usually only bring them here. They affect our operations. Don't try to avoid those. And I'm not getting in the middle of stuff. I'm wanting to just say a word and prayer. That will get some what necessarily that means. But I've been paying attention to what's going on there, and you could probably think, well, that's over there and I'm over here, so I'm not too worried about it. But in a 401k, you might be worried about it if it goes wrong. Hopefully worried about it if it goes wrong. So hopefully things will settle down here soon. Worry about everything else. Announcements.
The commissioners or the Fairfield County offices will be closed next Friday, July 4th in observance of Independence Day. There is also the walk-on resolution that was talked about in the review session, and that will be 2025-06.24.t. And I will give a brief synopsis of that resolution when we get to it at the end of the meeting. That's it.
minutes, 17/2025.
So moved.
Second discussion. Under discussion, sometimes when we miss a meeting, we don't vote on the minutes the next time, and sometimes we do. I was a voting member of last week's meeting, but I was in attendance. Further discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
From the Commissioners, Resolution 2025-6.24.a, a resolution amending Resolution 2024-12.3.a and 2025-04.22.a, establishing the Fairfield County Board of Commissioners 2025 review session and regular meeting dates and special meeting dates.
Under Commissioners, I move resolutions A, B, C, D, and E.
Second discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. For Fairfield County Economic and Workforce Development, Resolution 2025-6.24.f, approval for amendment and one-year renewal of space use agreement between Fairfield County Commissioners and Teamworks LLC and the Fairfield County Workforce Center.
Under Fairfield County Economic and Workforce Development, I move resolutions F and G.
Second discussion.
Teamworks is our youth provider and basically space at the workforce center for the past couple of years. It's a good fit out there. Some of their students have participated in our program. So it's a good partnership.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rick. Further discussion. Call the roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. The Fairfield County Engineer, Resolution 2025-6.24.h, a resolution to submit drainage improvement estimates.
So moved.
Second.
It's basically our list of drainage improvements for all the DMT districts we have in some every year.
Discussion. Call the roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. For the Fairfield County Facilities, Resolution 2025-6.24.i, a resolution authorizing the approval of an agreement for the purchase of tables and chairs for the Sheridan Center with Bob Incorporated.
So moved.
Second discussion. I suppose these chairs would be on old people with arthritis.
I had some test subjects that fit in that demographic and I seem to like it.
I was just curious. Further discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. In Fairfield County Job and Family Services, Resolution 2025-6.24.j, a resolution to approve a memo receipt and expenditure for Fairfield County Job and Family Services Fund 2599, reimbursing Fund 2018.
So moved.
Second discussion.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. For Fairfield County Meals on Wheels Older Adult Agency, Resolution 2025-6.24.k, a resolution to appropriate from unappropriated funds and major expenditure object categories for Meals on Wheels OAAFC Incorporated Fund 2617.
So moved.
Second discussion.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Motion passes 2-0. From Fairfield County Regional Planning Commission, Resolution 2025-6.24.l, a resolution to approve an amendment of paragraph 1.12 of the development agreement for the Fairfield Career Center new lab building subdivision.
So moved.
Second discussion. Call the roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Motion passes 2-0. The Fairfield County Sheriff, Resolution 2025-6.24.m, a resolution authorizing the approval of contract extension between the Fairfield County Board of Commissioners, the Fairfield County Sheriff Office, and the Athens County Board of Commissioners and Athens County Sheriff for housing prisoners in the Fairfield County Jail.
Under Fairfield County Sheriff, I move resolutions M, N, and O.
Second discussion. So I'll just say on this issue of the contracts with other counties on the potential housing of their inmates, re-up in these contracts, but they're fairly utilized, and I would anticipate that to continue. Discussion. Let's go to roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. For the Fairfield County Treasurer, Resolution 25-6.24.p, a resolution to appropriate from unappropriated major expenditure object category for the Treasurer Fund 1080 Trust Unclaimed.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Agency, Resolution 2025-6.24.q. Resolution authorizing the approval of a mortgage on a program year 2023 Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program rehab construction for Natasha Watkins.
Under Fairfield County Community Action Agency, I move resolutions Q and R.
Second. Is he here today? I'm not. Oh, no, too, because situation once this week, so it might not be the same. Yes. Oh,
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
yes.
Motion passes 2-0. Payment of bills, Resolution 2025-6.24.s. A resolution authorizing the approval of payment of invoices for departments that need Board of Commissioners approval.
So moved.
Second, discussion?
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah.
Motion passes 2-0. Resolution 2025-6.24.t. This is from the Court of Common Pleas. A resolution authorizing acceptance of the Community Corrections Grant Agreement with ODRC for state fiscal years 2025 and 2026. Would you like a brief synopsis?
So moved.
I'm not being you.
No, it's fine.
Josh was kind enough to give us some good information in our meetings. We're good, but thank you. Further discussion? Just call the roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. The next regular meeting is scheduled for July 8th. That's 2 weeks from today at 9 a.m.
Is there any other issue item that anybody like to bring to the attention of the commission where I would accept an alternate motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I got a motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. The commission is adjourned. We thank you all.